guys, we are so insanely excited. Charlie and I have both really dove into Deductr deeply this last couple of weeks, right? We've had a lot of fun with it. It's been like insanely mind-blowing to me because I'm just gonna keep it 100 right now. Like when Deductr came out, I was so impressed with the tool. Has everybody seen Deductr? Okay, so immediately I was impressed. Would you guys agree that it was impressive? And I was inspired, like this is exactly what I need to keep organized and maximize my savings. You guys agree with that too? And then I forgot to log anything. Did you guys forget to log your stuff too? Correct. So here I was. What?
Nobody forgot to log anything.
I forgot every single day. I had like a weekly intention of doing it, Charlie, but I just never did it. Like, I kept saying I'm going to do it, and I kept putting it off and saying, oh, I'll just get to it tomorrow. And pretty soon you're like, wow, 3 months just went by, and I haven't started using this. Am I right? Okay.
I have to love when you get in there and go, I'm going to do it today, I'm going to do it today, and all of a sudden there's 200 things to do today.
Yeah. You know, Charlie, you feel me. I know you know. So
I do know.
So the reason I'm so excited is because the last couple of weeks, we both made a commitment to using it, you know, the way it's supposed to be used. And I found out a couple of things. I found out, one, it's not only easy to use, it's addictive. Like, literally, I found my favorite time to do it is during Grey's Anatomy because I love the show, it's easy to do, and I found it, like, weirdly satisfying. Like, as I'm going through and confirming my expenses and adding in things, I just felt so in control and so super stoked about getting ahead of the game. Does that make sense? Like, it was the weirdest thing. I was like, this is so oddly satisfying. Like, anybody ever get a gel manicure, women? You know, like, how good it feels to, like, peel it off? It felt like that. It just felt so good. Like, it felt so darn, exactly. Everybody's laughing, but y'all know, like, it was like that kind of satisfaction. And Charlie's like, I know what you mean.
Right with you.
So anyway, I am very excited. Charlie, just to go to the first slide here, we're going to kick this off, and I'm really lucky. Charlie is he is my favorite person to train with. I'm just going to, again, keep it 100. We have very, very different backgrounds. Charlie, he's the director of Shop Financial, director of field training and sales for Australia. He's an executive director, so he's a lot of directing, right? He's owned a financial planning agency, and he's licensed in investments and insurance. So he has a lot of knowledge. He's like, no, you do. You're very, very smart, and you've helped me in a tremendous way with my usage of this program.
So, Sarah Rose, the reason I like Deductr, and one of the things I love to do, is teach people how to accumulate more money. Mm-hmm. And this darn thing does it for you.
I'm listening.
So it always gets me when someone doesn't use something that puts thousands of dollars in your pocket. And people don't do that, right? But you and I have the same problem with it because we go, did I
do it
today?
Yes.
Right?
So not to just keep bragging on you, but he's also has an engineering degree, and he was a dream team member. So when I see that list of things, I see somebody that's really knowledgeable in the industry, really can understand this product in a way that maybe I can't. But I also see somebody that really understands this business, right? Somebody that not only has built it to a successful level and continues to build it and continues to benefit from that experience and that effort, but also that paved the way. Do you guys know what the Dream Team even is? They were the original team of top business builders, like back in the early 800s. And
I thought it was a 1700s.
1700s, excuse me. And so they're the ones that really paved the way for us to come in and enjoy the business as well. And I mean, they really created the system. Like, the system that we follow is what worked based on what they did. So to me, I'm very, very happy to be able to train with somebody like Charlie.
See, I agree. So Sarah Rose, of course, says a lot of nice things about me, but you do understand she's really awesome, right? Yeah. Unbelievable. But Director of Business Integration, hey, she handles web centers. I barely know what that is. You know, but National Supervising Coordinator, ISM trainer. We couldn't say more good things about you, and she works and works and works because she cares. So awesome is all we'd have to say there.
Well, I don't have a Peggy, so.
So how many of you actually use Deductr at this point? So for those of you that didn't hear me, how many of you use Deductr at this point? Wow. How many of you dislike putting more money in your pocket? I just want to make sure because, look, if you can have a program that says I can take advantage of everything I spend when I go to Miami, when I go to Greensboro, when I go to my UBPs, right? I can track my mileage, all of this stuff, and it puts money in your pocket when you want to. Because all you have to do is go. Now, guys, it doesn't really say when you go to your back office, Deductr. You see up there what it says, right?
What does it say? It says tax savings, tax assistant.
Tax assistant.
That's right.
Right? So you click on that and you'll get there. So what our problem really is we know that 7 out of 9 of us pay too much money in taxes. How many of you are thrilled to death just to give money to Uncle Sam? Oh, you didn't take enough? Here, let me give you an extra 1,000. Because that's what you're doing, right? You can put anywhere from $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in your pocket. How much money do you think your unfranchised business costs you a year? What do you think it is?
Per year.
Overhead.
For a year or a month?
Per year.
Per year. What do you think?
You think it's 5,000? Right? It depends on what you do, so I'll bet you it's anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000. What if most of that could be put back in your pocket just by using Deductr? Would that be smart on your end?
Yes.
See, and I do not have to track anything anymore, which is even better. Guess I should probably go the right way. See, Sarah Rose, you don't really have to be smart, right? We don't need that one, do we? So this is what it looks like. You can see everything you do. You know what's really nice about this darn thing? I can get this out. Let me see if I can find it. Do you know when I turn this on, it does not ask me, why is your receipt faded? Why didn't you give this to me sooner? Is the mileage correct? Because my last tax assistant asked me all those questions. Didn't you, dear? So I just want to track my expenses. I know when I go someplace, I can take a picture of it, capture it, file it. I know I can go in and turn on my mileage, track it, file it. I know I can actually keep track of my time. Sarah Rose, you know what's really interesting is most of us go, I work a lot.
We do.
And see, thinking about your business is not working. So you can't, there's no column on here that says thinking. But it does show you everything, right? And what's really nice, and this is where it gets addicting.
This is my favorite feature of Deductr, one of my favorites.
Well, because it is kind of addicting, like you said, right? You're going, oh my God, I'm putting this much money in my pocket.
So wait, can you go back to it?
I can.
So we're going to talk in a minute a little bit about how Deductr can really help you with retention and recruiting in your group. So what that you see the blue bar there and then the yellow? So the yellow is your monthly savings target. And what that basically is an estimate for what you think your business is going to cost you based on how you've set up your business profile. So the yellow bar is your monthly savings target, and the blue bar is what you're saving. So as you actually go in and confirm some of the spending that you've done, that blue bar grows. So what about somebody that is building the business and it's taking them a couple of months for the MPCP to pay them, maybe it took them a little while to hit executive coordinator. If they're seeing that their monthly savings is outweighing their monthly spending, isn't that very powerful? Do you guys get that? If the blue bar is bigger than the yellow bar, then your savings outweighs your overhead. And so that's what we mean by it's addicting. It's like almost like gamified.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome when you go, that's actually more money in my pocket, and I'm not giving it away.
And I'm not giving it away. You would have
Yep.
paid it in taxes. Exactly.
So what if you could actually track your appointments? Right? So you now have a calendar where it'll drop the things in for you. You can actually see the time you spend in your business. Guys, you did hear that, right? You can see the time you spend in your business. There's no drop-down box, again, that says, I was thinking about it all night.
All right, and what about so we talked really quickly about tax benefits, right? So it's kind of like having a personal assistant. For me, taxes and tracking and the paperwork that you have to keep, it was all very overwhelming and it very much intimidated me. And one of the things that I realized is I'm not alone in that, right? There's a lot of people where this is their first time owning a business, or it's their first time owning a home-based business. And so it was like having a personal assistant that I could go to. Why is that? Well, because when I log in and I'm looking at, because we'll show you how, but you can actually link your cards and it pulls in all your transactions. As I'm clicking on transactions, it's popping up and there's all of the potential things that you can potentially write off are right there. I didn't realize that you could write off for postage. I didn't even think that you can write off for XYZ. And so it's kind of prompting you for things that you might have completely forgotten to include in your deductions because you simply didn't know that it was one. Does that make sense? And so I loved that. So it's like having a personal assistant that helps you to track your business expenses, your mileages, and you don't have to pay somebody for all that expertise because it's all loaded into the system. But the biggest benefit for me, tax-wise, was just kind of like the knowledge, the prompting that it did to me so that I could understand and not miss things. I have a new accountant for the first time in over a decade because my old one, she retired. And it's crazy because when I brought my new accountant stuff, she said, you are really forgetting to write off quite a bit of stuff that you're entitled to write off. And my other accountant just simply, home-based businesses, I guess, wasn't her specialty.
Yeah.
Left a lot of money on the table. Had I been using a system like this, that would not have been the case.
Yeah, well, what if you could take a cruise and your friend that takes part of your money would pay for part of it in a tax break?
I mean, exactly.
That would be okay, right? Now, do some of you purchase Market America products? Just a question. What if you could actually keep track of everything regardless if it's Market America or not, what if you could track everything you buy to prove to you how much you actually spend per month? Would that be smart? See, to me, that's one of the smartest things you can do. God, I went too fast. And if I can track everything and file it, right? Put it in a folder and it says, here's what you spend every single month. Because most of you, look, I did retirement planning for a long time and you go, I don't spend that kind of money.
Yeah. How many people have you sat down with a prospect and that's kind of the first knee-jerk reaction is, I don't spend that much money. 18,000, I don't spend that much money. Or that's your own personal reaction. Isn't that true?
Yeah. I look at how much you make and I go, ooh, you spend a lot of money.
Yeah. So the point of that, you guys, is like when you take the shopping annuity assessment, you are putting in an estimate. Do you guys get that? You're saying, this is what I think I spend on X, Y, and Z. Clothes, dining out, food, personal care, whatever. It's an estimate. When you track your actual spending with Deductr, it's an actual number. So it's the difference between an actual number and an estimated number. The other cool part about the system is you can actually dual classify something. So for example, this coffee, actually JT bought me this coffee, but let's say I bought this coffee, right? I bought this coffee. It's a business expense because I'm here on a trip and I can call it what it is, right? So I would itemize that transaction as a tax expense. But it's also something I was going to buy anyway, isn't it? And that's a shopping annuity spend, right? And so I can actually classify that transaction twice. I can say, keep track of it for tax purposes, and I can keep track of it for shopping annuity purposes so that I can keep track of my actual spending and keep it separate from my deductions. And by the way, I just said something, and that's a verbiage thing. It's a tax expense, and it's a shopping annuity spend, right? This is not a shopping annuity expense, right? I was going to buy this anyway. This is not some random new expense that I had. It's a spend, right? It's something I was going to do anyway. So just keep that in mind.
It's interesting the way we think, though, because we look at things as an expense, even though we were buying them. Once we buy them from ourselves, it's an expense.
That's right. It's weird.
It is really weird.
Yeah.
Right? So, how many of you have ever tracked your tax receipts this way? How many of you own a car? How many of you have a center console in the car? That's what I used mine for. It would be, see, Peg would occasionally check into my car and go, wow, there's a lot of receipts in here. Oh, 2012.
And you can't even read it anymore because
Oh
it's
my
all
God. Well, you can read where I thought it was, and then it was a lot more money when I wrote it down. But regardless, I don't have that problem ever again because all I do is take a picture and I get rid of the shoebox. I get rid of the center console. Makes it a whole lot easier.
That's right.
There we go.
Can you not stand under that? It just keeps like tingling and it's making me uncomfortable.
Do you know
Yeah.
that that's just the air blowing up there?
I know. I just really
I talk too much, and the air is just going up and.
It's making me uncomfortable. Like,
okay.
All right, so let's talk about consumer power. Did you guys hear Chris today talking about how, and then JR jumped up on stage with him and he was like, people power, people power, people power. You know what that was about, right? It was about us. Like, we buy things and we voted, we put our feedback to the management team and the corporate team, and what happened? A lot of shifting, a lot of changing, right? What Chris presented on today is such a, I don't know if people understand, it was such a massive undertaking and a massive progression to happen in a short period of time. That reduction of product stuff, all of that stuff. But here's where it started. It started with us. It started with what we want. It started with us proving that this is what we wanted by what we were doing. And so the reason we have this slide in here, Charlie, is because if we take the time to actually classify some of our transactions as shopping annuity spending, that is major, major, major people power, because what's happening is the company gets all of that information. They don't get your bank information or anything that's, confidential, but they get the categorical breakdown and how much was going to each. So the idea is that with that kind of real data versus stated data, right? The shopping annuity assessment is an estimate. It's stated data versus real data, which is this. They can then go to some of our suppliers and use that to negotiate better products, better pricing, better shipping, better IBV. Isn't that something that we want the company to have? That kind of muscle, right? So you guys, that's why I'm sharing this, is because, when I first started, it's like all tax expenses was my focus, but the shopping annuity spend actually can contribute to your ongoing income because we give the company major muscle.
See, and I think that was obvious today when you look at all the products we're now bringing out.
That's right.
The price of them, and then 40, 50, 60% IBV. How much more phenomenal can we get?
It can't. It's amazing.
It is.
So, and we can just skip this slide because that's exactly what it was.
What
and
you
then,
just said.
That's okay. And then the digital aggregation is just coming in behind that. So basically, again, when we know what you're actually spending versus what you say you spend, it not only gives us the muscle power to go to these vendors and negotiate better products, prices, shipping, and IBV, it also helps us in terms of digital aggregation, right? Because what we can do is we can see the true data, which means we know exactly where you're shopping and what you want, so that we can aggregate the deals that are important to you. So another thing you didn't really hear too much about from Chris's presentation today was about merchandising. So on all of our home pages, you'll see right now there are like carousels of products, right? Like travel essentials was up this week because we're all traveling to MAWC, right? So wouldn't it be great if the deals that you see on your homepage of unfranchise.com are aggregated to you based on things that we know that are interesting for you, that you actually care about and want to hear about, right? Again, take the time to label the shopping annuity spending because it gives the company the power to do things that are in our favor, like digital aggregation and like consumer marketing power.
Absolutely. How many of you use, or at least thinking about using, Deductr to help you sponsor somebody? So how are we going to, is there anybody that's really new in the business in the room right now? How new? 4 months. How new? All right.
Welcome.
Did anybody, did you by any chance ask the question, what is my out-of-pocket expense going to be in the first year? Should we tell somebody that?
Yes.
See, now I love it because I just sponsored somebody in January and he goes, hey, what's my out-of-pocket expense going to be the first year? I said, it's going to be around $2,000. I said, but what if I could get you that money back in taxes? He goes, well, that would be interesting. And I talked about Deductr. And he goes, you're telling me that I'll spend between product, training, whatever else I'm going to do, $2,000, and the government's going to put $2,000 back in my pocket? I said, no, they're going to probably put $3,000 back in your pocket. But it is awesome. Sarah Rose, it is so good when that guy's like, this, it'll cost me nothing, maybe make me money. I said, it'll actually make you money, right? As we build the business. Now, if I have partners, I would sit down with any of my partners and go, by the way, you do realize that this business doesn't cost you anything. You can attend all the events and someone else is paying for it, right? Money you would have normally given to the government is going to be given back to you and taking care of your business. So you want to increase retention? Talk about Deductr and what it will do. It makes a huge difference. Most of us never had a business before, right? We don't understand what we need to write off. Why not let something track it for you? Just makes sense.
So the organization benefits, it's all about maximization as well, right? So team leaders, so how many people have sat down with their team and really looked and took a deep dive into what people are spending, where they're converting spending into earning, and where they might be what we call leaking money, meaning they're spending money but they're forgetting to go through their website, or maybe they could be buying it with a regular Market America product instead, right? So one of the exercises our team is going to be doing is using Deductr as a way to analyze how well we are converting spending into earning. Because again, since it's an actual spend that you're seeing and in all of the actual transactions, you can kind of take a really nice temperature and see, okay, wow, last month I spent $7,000 and yet I only redirected like 400. And you will find that out. And you're going to realize how much money you could have spent through your website that you didn't. And it's right in front of your face, so it's you can't even deny it. So it's a really great thing for you to do as a personal exercise as well as one to do with your organization. And why is that important? Because if every single person in your group did that, what does that create? A lot of what? Volume. A lot of BV and a lot of IBV. Because if people were aware of where the holes were, where the gaps are, they can fill them.
And do you know that most people don't realize what you're talking about? See, do you want to do a fun thing with your team? Any of you have a bucket at home? So now you have to take this to one of your team members' house. Now, don't do it at yours. You fill it with water and then put a hole in it. Would you fix the hole or would you carry that thing through your house with water leaking out?
Fix the hole.
But the problem is we leak money. We lose money everywhere and we don't realize it because we don't see it. And I am telling you, you are losing so much money you need to see it. I love this example.
Exactly.
So tips for consistency. What can you do to be accurate? Here, I can tell them what not to do.
You tell them what not to do and I'll reverse it.
So when I get up in the morning, I go, okay, I'm going to take Deductr today, and then the phone rings. And I answer it, and I go, well, I'll get it tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, it's February 7th.
That's right.
And so what do you do to make it different? What could we do to be consistent?
So for me, I did two things. The first thing I did was I picked one time a week and I scheduled an appointment with myself. And I called it Deductr Day, okay? And so just schedule an appointment with yourself for an hour a week. And that's just your time to log into the system and just go through and do what you need to do. And JT's gonna come up in just a second and show you exactly what to do. We have a surprise for you as well. But here's what I found that I keep my appointments with other people better than I keep my appointments with myself. Has anybody else found that? So during the 4-week accountability group that we did, the first 2 weeks, I missed my appointment with myself. And so the third week, I tried something different, and I tried to pair it with something that I know I'm gonna do anyway that I won't be interrupted in. And for me, that was Grey's Anatomy. And so what I did was I was like, that's fine. I'm gonna put Grey's on Thursday night. I'm gonna whip out my computer and I'm gonna do Deductr then. And it was so easy for me to do because I was relaxed. I wasn't gonna leave anywhere. I had little chance of being interrupted. So I feel like you have to figure out what is gonna work for you. But the most important thing when it comes to Deductr is making it a habit. So it should be something that you can do from week to week. Some things that people did was they just did it at the end of every week. It just made sense. Or they did it with a morning coffee or after dinner. People like to pair a new habit with something that they already have a habit of. So if you already have a habit of having coffee for 30 minutes in the morning, and you can also have your coffee and log in and do Deductr, that's easy to keep your appointment because it's already something you're habitually doing. Does that make sense? So pairing it with something that you already do on a consistent basis is great. And then the other little tip is, if it doesn't work, if your plan doesn't work, don't keep the plan. Try something different. So for me, my plan didn't work in week 1, and then I was like, dang, I missed my appointment. And then week 2, it didn't work again. And then by week 3, I was like, I gotta try something different, or I'm gonna be like 4 months later, like Charlie said, and have nothing done. So what works for me was that. What works for you might be different. You might be better at keeping your appointments with yourself, right? Does that make sense? Cool.
I think I'm gonna try a new way to do this.
What's it gonna be?
Once a week, I'm gonna have a donut.
A donut?
And while I'm eating the donut, I'm going to do Deductr.
Deductr Donut Day.
I think that makes sense to me.
Do not eat the donut.
Okay, so what I could do is sit there and look at the donut and do Deductr. And it builds my willpower while I form a new habit.
So Charlie is going to be known as Triple D from now on. All right, let's hammer through these real quick. My bank account does not come up. What should I do? So when you log into Deductr, you can link your bank, and all of your transactions will auto-feed, and all you have to do is click on it and say, yep, deductible, yep, not, whatever, and you can just confirm your expenses. So they have thousands. Kelly, how many do they have? Like 20,000 banking institutions or something? 40,000? They have 40,000 banking institutions. So chances are, is that your bank is in there. Sorry, I just song.
Artist.
Chances are that, yes, I'm an artist, he is a financial planner. Chances are that your banking institution is loaded in. If it's not, what they recommend that you do is send an email, because the more that they get, the more bargaining power they have to reach out to those smaller institutions and get them connected. Charlie, can I link a credit card?
I believe you can even link a credit card. And you know what? It's not all that hard. You actually have to go in and just type it in, and it takes it.
That's right. You can link a banking institution means banking institution. It means checking accounts, savings accounts, or credit cards. What about entering in manually? Like, let's say I have a paper receipt, or let's say my bank is not on there. What can I do?
Well, if you have a receipt, I love to get this thing out. It is wonderful, and it does have a camera on here, so I can actually take a picture. And the great thing about it is it puts it right in a file for you, and you can place it, or assign it.
That's
which
awesome.
Is awesome. Oh yeah, it's absolutely.
And Charlie, can I track more than one business? I also own a hair salon. I don't own a hair salon, but let's say I did. I own a hair salon and I'm an unfranchised owner. Can I track more than one?
You can absolutely track more than one and take notes on how you're going to file it.
That's
so
right.
you can put one in one area and one in another.
That's right, and you can bring in multiple streams of income as well.
Absolutely.
And I think we clarified this question during the presentation, but the difference between a shopping annuity spend versus a tax expense. You guys get that? Okay, great. And how do I record the shopping annuity spending? We're going to wait and let JT do that because he has a new way to show everything. Where do you record your auto ship expenses? Do you have an answer for that?
Do I have an answer for that?
I have one, but I'll let you answer yours.
Well, I actually can record them under advertising.
Advertising, yeah. So we are not tax professionals, so we can't tell you what to do with your auto ship, but has anybody in the room ever ordered product for the purposes of marketing or maybe trial size marketing? Great. Your auto ship might be tax deductible if you're using it for those purposes. Does that make sense? Obviously, you don't want to write off stuff that you're using for personal consumption, but if you are using your product and giving out samples or giving out product or trial size marketing, it's an advertising
I
expense.
have an accountant that's aggressive.
You have an aggressive accountant?
Yes.
Peggy.
Oh, no. Former IRS agent, but he allows me to do things that, I have found over my years that other accountants didn't let me do.
And there's one other little golden nugget I want to share with y'all is, and when you log into your Deductr account, there's a little, well, I don't know if it's orange still, but there's a little help thing, and their help thing is so amazing. When I click on that, the search is great. Where should I go for frequently asked questions and ongoing support? So when I was digging into Deductr, I didn't want to wait for sending an email to get an answer, so I went right there. And my first question that came up was, all right, I'm not seeing what I want to write off, because I wanted to write off my Web Center hosting fee as a hosting fee. And I didn't see hosting on the drop-down, so I was like, can I add a custom category? So what did I do? I went right to frequently asked questions. I typed in custom categories. It came right up. I type in more than one business, came right up. The frequently asked questions section of Deductr is so great because there's lots of screenshots, so it's very visual, very helpful, and there's also videos in a lot of them as well. There's also a really great article for starting your account. So when you first log in and what to do and how to set up a business profile, and it gives you every single step so you don't have to remember it all.
Yeah, so if you feel like you're stuck, there's plenty of answers there.
Plenty. All right, so the last little piece here, Charlie, we want to be consistent.
The key to everything, isn't it?
Key to everything. So Deductr will work if you use it. So these are really, I would take a picture of this. So when you're trying to measure, monitor, and adjust and control your use with Deductr, these are some important questions to ask. So Charlie, did you set up your business profile?
Did I? I did.
Did you link your bank cards and credit cards?
I did.
Did you connect your mobile account?
I did.
Have you been confirming your expenses?
Sometimes.
Sometimes we have to work on that.
Well, you know what's interesting about that?
You need donuts.
Now, some of you guys are using confirming expenses, right?
Yeah.
Yes? Anybody use the program? And do any of you find it unbelievably simplistic when you're confirming expenses? Because that's the most challenging part I find.
It is.
Right? And if it would be simpler, it would be easier. And if it'd be easier, it'd be simpler. I'm not sure what it means, but I'll bet you the next person that comes up on stage might address that.
He's going to, trust me. Oh, you get it. We're in on the inside joke. Tired. All right, let's hit the next slide.
Some of them even got it. Now she didn't, but it's okay.
Got it. That's okay. So real quick, can you hit the next slide, Charlie? We want to keep going. So
there we go.
What we want you to do is experience Deductr. Make sure that you're logging in via unfranchise.com. It's right on that new homepage, which, by the way, is beautiful. And I want to bring your attention to a couple of quick things. Number one, the Help Center. That's the little help button I was just talking about. Also, we just recently did a 4-week accountability group. And in that 4 weeks, the mileage or trips increased by 2,700. That's huge. The total dollar amount of transactions increased by over $11 million. So you know what that tells me is that, by the way, we only had we had a lot of people sign up, but active people, we had about 100 people. You know, so that's a lot of people that were committed and tracking and finding a new habit. So would you like to have that habit? Do you think it's worth it to have the habit of using the program? Yeah? Yeah, I mean, that's huge, guys. Wouldn't it be great if at the end of 4 weeks from now, you actually were like, wow, check out all this stuff that I'm ahead of the game instead of tax time, and you're trying to take care of like all of this other stuff, right? You're trying to get caught up. So Charlie and I are going to do another 4-week accountability group, and that's going to start on March 4th. When is that going to start? Great. And so what we're going to do is you got to look for an unfranchised news, and also please, if you can look on blog.unfranchise.com, that's another great place, and we will announce it there. But Charlie, do you want to maybe introduce or say anything else? First of all, do you want to say anything else?
Well, what are you guys going to do between now and March 4th?
Thank you. That's a great point. Set up the account.
Set up the account and form a new habit. If the new habit took you 15 minutes a week and it put $200 in your pocket, would you do it? Then do it.
Yes. Let's get a round of applause for that. It's huge. Did you have a question? Can this replace QuickBooks?
I'm going to go with, I would go with, this is the answer I'm getting. I'd go with no, but maybe.
Do you use QuickBooks?
I do not use QuickBooks.
Is that why you're answering that?
I don't know why I'm answering that.
What do you think, Kelly, Doug? Do you think? It depends on how you use it. Let's talk offline afterwards. Yeah. Oh, yeah, so it depends on how you use it, exactly. So before we take questions, Charlie, your tip was a very good tip. Between now and March 4th, you need to use the program. I'm telling you, it's like once you get in there and you use it, like really, really use it, it's totally addictive. So do you want to introduce JT? We have a special singer for you tonight.
We actually do have someone to introduce that's going to talk and explain some things that'll make the program even better. Right? So right now I think the program's awesome just because of what it does, but if we can make this more fun, more simplistic, it is really awesome.
I agree. And it's a special surprise. And before we do bring them up, I do want to say that the people from Deductr, we have Doug and Kelly and also JT up here from Deductr, the level of support that they have given us as we use this product is just unprecedented. Like, they are just such great partners. They are so invested in our using their product, right? I mean, they really, really want us to use it and get the benefit of the product and enjoy those benefits. And they have a special surprise for us tonight. And nobody has heard about this yet. So to share that, please give a huge welcome for JT.
Thank you. Would you like this?
Yes, I would.
There you go.
I think you're awesome.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, everybody. How y'all? Great. And you should be great after these two. All right? At Deductr, like us, we love Charlie and Sarah. As you can see, they're advocates for you. They're advocates of Deductr. They're advocates of helping you get the most out of your unfranchised business. So I just want to thank. Will you join me and give me a round for Sarah and Charlie? They've been doing this accountability group. We have seen usage go up, more of you logging in, more of you tracking, $11 million in transactions being tracked, 160,000 miles tracked. That means dollars back in your pockets. Now, at the beginning, Charlie asked, how many of you use Deductr? And I'll ask again, it wasn't very many. And actually, that's exciting to me. So let me ask again, how many of you have used Deductr? Raise your hand. Okay, now a lot more hands. What happened? Okay, you remembered what it was after they explained to you. But I'm glad that there's also many of you here that have not used Deductr, and hopefully after tonight you'll see why it makes sense to start. So let's go to some slides. This is my favorite slide. Okay. So they mentioned we've got some news. So we've been watching you. We've been listening to you. We've been listening to your comments and your feedback. And actually, for about the last year, we have been working on some significant changes. We think Deductr's pretty good, but we think it'll be better. I got to steal Charlie's phrase. Let's see, easier is simpler, and simpler is easier. I love that. Maybe that's how we could describe what we'll call the new Deductr for a moment. So we've been hard at work, and as we've watched your comments and listened to your questions, we have felt like some significant improvements could be made. So significant, in fact, that we're not just doing a new release and improving a few things here or there, but we're actually going to be putting out a whole new platform. And we're going to do that in March to coincide with the new accountability group and 4-week program that Sarah, Rose, and Charlie are going to launch. So, and you're going to see a new name. So I want tonight to introduce that to you, so when this happens, you'll recognize it, you'll be familiar with it, you'll be excited about it. Now, I do want to say this before we go into what's coming. Here we are, first week of February. Many of you just got your 1099s from the company. If you're new to owning your own business or new to Market America, you may be thinking, well, what do I do with that? And Deductr's here to help you to take that 1099 and to get all the deductions you're eligible for, take that to your account and get as much money back as you can. So over the next month, one of the things that Charlie said, what are you going to do? Well, first of all, those of you who have been using Deductr, you're going to go in and get ready to file your taxes and maximize those deductions. If you haven't started yet, well, we'll talk about that maybe in a few minutes. So, Deductr. Well, that name is going to be replaced in March. Okay? Now, I always make a joke about Deductr and the way we spell it. All right? And people say, why is that? You know, you're missing a vowel. Did you guys know that? Did you know? And yeah, we recognize that. The new product that will be coming in March, you're going to see something consistent about it. Yes. Must have been the same people spelling, I guess. Okay? But in March, you're going to see that now it is called Hurdler. New color, updated, fresh look, new user experience, and some fantastic changes that I'll go over with you in a little bit. But the same purpose, to help you maximize your deductions and put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. So, yeah, that app and the experience on the desktop, everything is going to change, and everything that you will see is going to look like that. So, okay, that's great. New name change. Why should I care, JT? Well, let's go through some of the things that I think will be very important to you, especially those who have been using the program, and that you'll be excited about these things. So, same thing as Charlie and Sarah talked about, unfranchised owners need to track. You have to track. You have to document to take advantage of the tax deductions that are available to you. And that's going to change, except it's going to get a little easier in Hurdler. This is the dashboard that you see there, and now everything that you need to see about your situation is right there. You don't have to go digging into menus. Okay, mileage, expenses, income, and taxes, and profit and loss of your business. And we're going to drill down on that, because in Deductr, yeah, you could see that blue bar that kind of showed every month the estimated tax savings. And then now at this time of year when it was tax season, you could go into Deductr's menu and click on a tax report. And then you could start to get a feel for where you stand with regards to your taxes for last year. And we thought, that's not really ideal. That I need to wait till April of 2020 to know how I was doing in 2019. So in Hurdler, right on the dashboard, you're going to see real-time profit and loss and real-time taxes. So if I had an expense today and I put it in the category it's a business expense, that number is going to update about how much taxes I'm going to be paying in April of 2020. And again, we think this is powerful so that you're not living in limbo for months and then finding out next tax season how you did this year. We want you to know how you're doing right now with real-time, immediate tax calculations as well as your profit and loss. Does that sound good? Great. We think so as well. So, one of the other major changes is, again, Deductr was good, but as you that have been using it know, there was a lot you had to do on the computer. Okay, you had to go in and do the setup on the computer. You had to link to your bank accounts on the computer. One of the questions that we got asked most often is, can I link to my bank accounts on my phone, on the app? I said, no, that's something you got to do on the computer. Well, guess what? That's changed. In Hurdler, you can do about everything on the mobile app. Huge, huge improvement here. Same thing, you're going to see what's going on. You're going to link to your bank accounts, your credit cards, all those financial institutions they were talking about, so that the transactions come in automatically. Now, we need to talk about the shop.com card. We need to talk about your First Bank card accounts. Obviously, that's what you have in addition to maybe other accounts, and you need to link to that card and that bank to have transactions come in. Even today, we've been asked by some, hey, I'm having problems connecting to a First Bank card and linking my shop.com account. So let me explain for just a minute here and pause on the presentation. Your banks, including First Bank card, are very concerned about your security. And what you may have noticed is when you log in and try to connect certain banks, some of them just put your login and password and it'll tell you working on it and boom, you're connected. Others come back with a question. They want to authenticate. They're going to ask you, your favorite this, or your mother's maiden name, or, your dog's, how many piercings in their left ear. So I don't know, but some super duper secret question that you gave them. And sometimes they'll ask you two questions. Multi-factor authentication. And First Bank card is one of those institutions that is very concerned about your security, the security of your account. So they ask you often a question, and you'll go in and you'll link your account and it'll be successful, but they will ask you another question within the next day and a half. So if you log in and link and connect and then go off and don't log in till next week, you may find that the connection is not there. They've basically kicked you off because they were trying to protect you by asking you another security question within the next 36 hours. So that seems like a little bit of a pain, but they're doing it to protect your privacy and the security of your account. So just, again, if you've had problems connecting, try that. Go in and connect, authenticate, and then make sure you log in again within the next 24 hours. Sorry to get in the weeds for a minute, but again, we've had some questions even today about that. So please try that, and if that doesn't work, call our support. All right, let's keep going. The mobile app, you're going to link to your banks. There's some things fun about this. There's a little green button there in the middle, maybe hard for you to read, talks about splitting expenses. That was difficult before. Now it's simpler, easier, which is easier and simpler, okay? So I go and I buy something, and part of it's for business and part of it's not, and I've got that transaction here. I put split expenses, and it's so easy to put the stuff that's tax deductible for business into one category and the personal stuff in another. You're going to love that feature. Now, there's one other thing. In that top right-hand corner, you see kind of a brown area with a white stripe, and again, hard to tell from where you're at. That is a receipt. In Deductr today, as Charlie Sayer mentioned, you can capture a receipt. You use the phone in the Deductr app, and you take a picture of the receipt, and as soon as you do, by the way, it's not going to stay on your phone, because you should be taking lots of receipt captures. And we don't want you to worry that, well, I took 1,000 today, because I really kind of went crazy today, okay? And, oh, I'm sure I'm probably filling up my phone's memory. No, as soon as you hit submit, we upload it to our servers in the cloud. So you don't need to go looking for it on your phone. It's not there, okay? Because unfortunately, if you were ever to lose your phone, we don't want you to lose your data, all your financial tracking. So as soon as you hit submit, it goes to our servers in the cloud. So don't look for it on your phone. Go log in on the desktop, and you'll see all your receipts. Well, Hurdler does it a little better. So right there, you can click on that button and capture a receipt, and all in one motion, attach it to the expense. Super slick, super easy. This is like great, okay? Again, Deductr was good. This is more good, okay? So you're going to love this feature. Again, so much more you can do on your mobile app, which is where you spend your time, and less that you'll have to go to the computer. All right, mileage. Talked about mileage. Okay, again, it's very common that you may drive, let's say, 100 miles a week for your business. That's 5,200 miles a year. By the way, you all got a raise this year. Did you know that? Okay, the business deduction just went up. Every mile used to be 54.5 cents. Now it's 58 cents. You can't leave that money on the table. You have to track, because now that could be $3,000 back in your pocket at tax time. It's like Charlie said, if you're just a really kind soul, very benevolent, then you can go and donate that to the IRS. They take donations, okay? I wish you wouldn't, okay? $3,000. That's more than what was discussed, that maybe the average person coming into the business, their cost may be for the year. So when you do what Charlie said and you tell someone, you know, there's some cost for having this business, but I can show you how your tax savings not just are going to cover, but most likely more than cover it, and even put money back in your pocket. You see how easy it is. And really, you can put a lot more than that. All right, so you got to track miles. You do have to track. You do have to document. This is one of the areas where the IRS knows we fudge. Okay? Well, I think, you know, the odometer reading at the beginning of the year was, you know, 33,000, and now it's the end of the year, and it's 50,000. You know, I think probably 97% of that was business. No, because you risk losing all your deductions. So just use the app and track. And with Deductr, it was easy. You know, get in and just say, start, just track me, okay? And the same thing here. The app is going to use the GPS in your smartphone and track you, and then it's going to create a log come tax time. Okay? You don't have to worry about that. Everything's there with your notes and such. And again, we love this platform, and there are some more enhancements being made to the mileage tracker. You know, I got to tell you, I've talked to some folks even here today that have said, you know, sometimes when I drive in and maybe I go through an area that coverage isn't great and stuff, and I'll notice, you know, every once in a while a little glitch, or I'll go somewhere and I knew I drove 25 miles, but the app only said 22 miles, or things like that, okay? This new app from Hurdler is more reliable, to be quite honest, okay? You're going to have better results, more accurate mileage tracking with this new app, and there's going to be continued enhancements made available to you to make it easier for you to track miles. All right? Mileage tracking, you got to do it, folks. Take advantage of the app. Put the $3,000 back in your pocket. Don't donate it. All right. So, again, some of you may have been in Greensboro, and if you were, and I'm up here again, my apologies. All right? But I want to make sure that when you leave tonight, you understand, as Charlie and Sherry mentioned, that you're not just here in Miami spending money on your business. You're investing, and you should be capturing deductions. So again, maybe you spent $200 to register, you know, for the event in Miami. All right? That, depending on your situation, that can be a $200 deduction. Right? Business expense, right? Same thing. Maybe you flew here, spent $400 on a round trip ticket, or maybe you drove here. Either way, there is an expense there that can be a deduction. You stay at a hotel a couple of nights. Maybe you spent $400. That can equal a $400 deduction. Meals. If you spent, let's say, $200, you might be able to deduct as much as half of that. So, spending a few days here in Miami, investing in yourself and your business, you might easily put $1,000. You might capture $1,000 in deductions because you're investing in yourself, in your business, by everything Market America is doing for you these 3 days. So, it's wonderful that you're here. It means you're serious about your business. So please get serious about the deductions that go with your business. Now, this is the place where I have to name the disclaimers. Earlier, Charlie and Sarah said, you know, we're not accountants, right? So, I'm not your accountant. Everybody's situation is different, right? So, this is OAC, 90 days, same as 3 months. No animals were harmed in the making of this software. Everyone's situation is different. Consult your tax professional and whatever else, you know, attorneys would say I should say. All right, we got it? But you can do this. All right. So, again, this is the deductor, the hurdler part talking about your taxes, and that little green box up in the top may be hard to read. It says profit after tax. This goes back to what I was saying about real-time feedback about your business, your tax situation, and the profitability of your business. You're always going to know where you stand. And that's important. Again, don't live in limbo, and then when tax seasons come around, see how good or how not so good you did. So this is always there. It's a fingertip away. I mean, you're just going to click on the button and it's there. All right, is that important to you? Is that exciting? Okay. So I usually just make sure that you get the significance of this and how easy it is, because it's just one button in Hurdler. All right? So you go like this, everybody. Right hand up in the air, way up in the air. Extend your index finger. This lady right here is not doing it. There we go. All right. And now go like this. That's how easy it is to get this information. One click. You can all do it now. All right. You know what? I don't like stress. And when I have this information at my fingertips, and when tax time comes around, what used to be a stressful event is not so stressful anymore. And again, I really, really, really like it when stress is removed from my life. Profit. I think we all like profit. Charlie, certified financial planner, if we brought him back up here and we said, Charlie, how can you get more profit? He might say, well, there's 3 ways you can do that, JT. One way is have more revenue, more income. That can increase my profits, right? Another way is, well, reduce my expenses. That can increase my profit. A third way is reduce my taxes. So we want you to be able to do that. We want that number you to see there is that's profit after tax. We don't want you to think, man, I'm doing really great, and then get surprised and see your profits evaporate because you didn't know where you stood with taxes. So again, I think you're going to love this in the new Hurdler. This app, real quick, I don't want to take too much time, but I want to go back to something that Charlie and Sarah Rose said. We too believe Hurdler can be a retention tool. First, let's start with recruiting tool. As you're talking to somebody about Market America, shop.com, the opportunity, okay, the money they're going to save in annuities, and they're spending money anyway and putting all that money back into their hands. All right, we do believe this is part of your story and saying, oh yeah, and by the way, since I started my own business, my tax bill, I used to pay $10,000, and now I pay $5,000. I mean, do you understand? I'm paying $5,000 less in taxes because I have my own business? Or maybe, I used to pay $2,000, and now I get a check for $3,000. That's a powerful part of your story as you are sponsoring someone into this great opportunity. And then likewise, if it turns out that someone that you brought in or sponsored after a while says those words we hate, I'm not sure this is for me. You go, okay, great. Tell me why. And you walk through everything and the reasons why they came in to start with. And you ask them, now, okay, if you do leave this, are you going to still spend that money that you spend anyway on groceries and household goods and clothes and all those things? You're not going to stop spending that money, are you? And they go, well, of course not. And you go, oh, you just don't want to get any of it back, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. And, I showed you since you've come into the Market America family as an unfranchised owner and you've been using Hurdler, and if they chance say, well, I haven't been using Hurdler, then you're going to pull out your app and you're going to show them and say, so here's my app, and I'm saving $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year. So really what you're telling me is you're going to walk away from that. So you're going to walk away from the money that's going to come back to you by participating in shopping and annuity, and then you're going to go back to donating thousands of dollars to the IRS. And when you do that with someone that you build a relationship and explain this, we believe, and Market America believes, that more of the people you sponsor are going to be patient and stay with this wonderful opportunity. Does that make sense? Okay. So, we ought to wrap up. Back to the dash. Again, everything you need is there at your fingertips. Let's just keep rolling. Well, it was brought up earlier, we know you're entrepreneurs. You most likely have multiple income streams. And Hurdler's going to help you do that. It's going to ask you, where are your expenses? Link those accounts. Where's your income? Link those accounts. And then you're going to be able to track those different income streams. Also in the report section, you're going to see where you stand, the profit and loss. It's easy to see, is it a good month, is it a bad month? What's my income, where's my expenses, and then what's my profit? And you can do it by year, by month, by quarter. And so we're back to this. So folks, what we want you to do in March, as Charlie and Sarah kick off that new accountability group, be watching for the new Hurdler. and you're going to log into your unfranchised system. As they mentioned earlier, you're going to look for the tax savings piece. Click on that, and it will log you in for the next month to your Deductr account, and then in March to your Hurdler account. All right, that's it. Do we need to stay up for a second? Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Wait. Go ahead. So I just want to mention when JT and Kelly and Doug were like walking us through this, do you guys like the new platform? Super, super modern and sleek, right? Yeah, come on, give it some love. So they love it. So so Chris Petticourt and I are like texting, right? You know, on Teams while you guys are showing this. We're like waiting and waiting and waiting for you guys to tell us that there's some sort of a price increase or some sort of a catch, right?
Well, of course there's a price increase. I think I lost my light, so you're talking.
Yeah.
No, you're good. Of course there's a price increase. All these new features, I mean, there has to be, right?
Right.
Right?
Right. But
Not really.
there's not one. So we're literally like, we're done with the demo and we're like, okay, so what's the catch? Because it was such a huge upgrade. And so we just want to thank you guys for doing that for us because it's really amazing already and we're really excited to use the new program.
Glad to do it.
Awesome.